Isekai.
The Rebirth of the Malicious Empress of Military Lineage. Chapter 43, Life and Death Agreement. The wind during autumn was usually elegant and fresh, but at this moment, because of the tense atmosphere, even the flowery fragrance became stronger. Shen Yu covered her mouth and said, sounding surprised, "This fifth younger sister is a female. Why would any young lady accept this challenge?" "Exactly." Chen Rikyu also worriedly said, "The fifth lady, you must not force yourself. Even though eldest brother-in-law is a general, you all along do not know about this stuff." Chen Rikyu's words were said cleverly to get what she desired, to say that Shen Xin was a general, but Shen Miao, as his daughter, did not know archery. The reason why females did not like playing with knives and handling spears might be somewhat justified because of not knowing military skills, but if one does not know military and literary skills, then one would be quite terrible. Moreover, everyone knew that Shen Miao did not know the four scholarly arts, and to add on by saying that she was not good at military skills, this demoted Shen Miao's reputation to nothing, and one would also slight Shen Xin's household. But the rules for this challenge cannot be changed. Shen Qing looked anxious, but her voice had a tone that was rejoicing in Shen Miao's misfortune. Once an opponent was picked, no matter what the topic was, one must complete the challenge. But everyone would always pick an outstanding person to compete against. Could it be possible that fifth younger sister had a hidden skill? Else why would Kailin pick you out? Her words were somewhat piercing. But not only did Ren Wanyan not stop her, but she also smiled. Eldest daughter is saying nonsense. How would fifth lady know how to play with knives and handle spears? The fifth lady, if you do not wish to go up on stage to compete, then second Shen will personally speak to the academy examiners. You are still young and thinking of eldest brother-in-law's face. They would not make things difficult for you. Even though Ren Wanyan's words sounded as if she was rescuing her lovingly, if one were to think very carefully, it would not be the case. After all, in the academy examinations, no one was the exception. For Shen Miao to be a precedent, most likely the Ding capital residents would start to talk. Moreover, to use Shen Xin's reputation, it might sound to others that Shen Xin used his meritorious efforts to gain privileges. After all, one would conform to the views of the majority. And other than the advantage of having a good identity, there also were lots of disadvantages, and she would never allow anyone to say anything bad about Shen Xin. Thanking second Shen, it is not required. She stood up at the female side of the banquet and slowly walked towards the stage. The entire arena quietened down, and one could hear the young lady's voice as it set off a wave in the arena. "I comply with this fight." Kailin's vision faltered. The reason why he did this was nothing more than wanting to vent it for Shen Yu. In the military topic, it would always be a misfortune for a male to challenge a female, but he was used to being a scoundrel, and most likely would be scolded by his parents when he returned. But thinking of being able to vent it out for Shen Yu made Kailin to be delighted from the bottom of his heart. He was thinking that it would be good if Shen Miao did not dare to accept this challenge. He would then ruthlessly ridicule Shen Miao. But one could not imagine that Shen Miao accepted the challenge. Not only that, she was portraying such a calm and magnanimous expression. Watching that purple-clad person slowly walking up the stage, Kailin's heart felt strange. It was as if she had no fear. But how could that be possible? Shen Miao did not know archery, and he knew it better than anyone. For someone who had never practiced martial arts, naturally, they would be ignorant about it. Shen Miao could not even know how to properly hold a bow, and in the face of something that one was not good at and had never tried before, anyone would panic. She could keep up the act to such a point. Just as Kailin was pondering, he suddenly felt a pair of eyes on him. He turned and met with Shen Yu's eyes from the female side of the banquet. When Shen Yu saw him looking over, she got embarrassed and lowered her head. Kai Lin's heart was captivated by that one scene. Every youth's heart had a lovely dream of being a hero saving a beauty. As of now, in Kai Lin's eyes, he was that hero who stood out on behalf of the beauty, and as for Shen Miao, she was that evil and ugly villain. Regardless of whether she accepted or declined this challenge, he would make Shen Miao lose all of her faces, and her embarrassment would be in full view of everyone. This was to make her not run rampant in front of Shen Yu again. Generally speaking, the topic on challenging was that the person who was challenged would set the rules and also dictate how the challenge would be carried out, and the person who was challenged could only accept it. So, because no one knew how it would develop, every year this round would attract the highest amount of attention. Shen Miao walked up the stage. The chief examiner of the academy examinations was in a somewhat difficult situation. Shen Miao was after all a delicate little young lady. It was justifiable for females and males to challenge each other in the literary topics, but for military ones, it was feared that Kai Lin was deliberately making a fool out of her. Today's play is extremely good. Prince Zhu clapped his hands, seemingly showing his interest. I am afraid that the reputation of Shen family's first household would fall 1,000 zhang. 1 zhang equals 10 feet. Prince Jing shook his head and sighed. General Shin's good reputation was gained on the battlefield, but his daughter is failing to live up to expectations. In Prince Jing's heart, it was not only she failed to live up to expectations and was also actually very silly. It was obvious that it would be wrong for her to either accept or decline the challenge, and with that kind of attitude, whatever that followed next would be even more laughable. Kai Lin's lips complacently curled up. This year one have thought up of an interesting rule, since it would be boring to follow the usual rules. The archery challenge this year would be for us to shoot at one another. You put fruit on top of your head and I will shoot you with an arrow, after which I will then put one on my head and you shoot me. What about it? When those words were said, the entire arena went into an uproar. That examiner jumped in shock. This could result in death. Shen Miao was ultimately Shin Zin's daughter, and if anything happened to her when Shin Zin returned at the end of the year, who could be able to handle him if he were to look into it? He quickly said, "Student Kai." Kai Lin waved his hand. "Teacher, Guang Wentang doesn't took exception for anyone. It is the case for previous regulations for the challenger to define the rules. So why? A dignified Grand General's daughter is such a timid younger generation?" Shen Yu lowered her head and covered her tilted lips. Feng Enning frowned, but she did not know what to do. His words are not wrong. The voice was somewhat hoarse, but it was from Prince Yu, who had kept his eyes closed all the time. There was a trace of an eccentric smile on his grim face as he said, "Naturally there was no argument that rules are meant to be fixed specifically for anyone. Is it possible that on the battlefield, because the enemy is strong, General Shen would temporarily flee? If it's so, then it's understandable." After finishing, he felt that it was funny and started laughing. Shen Miao's eyes suddenly sharpened. These people's words were all mocking Shen Zin, and they thought that she was the weakness of the first household of the Shen family. Before the anger that was accumulated finally burst forth, she looked at Kai Lin, who was enjoying this good play, and swept her eyes towards the people in the banquet who were mocking. The Shen Miao that was reborn could tolerate, but the mistress of the inner palace, Empress Shen, had a temperament of seeking revenge for the smallest grievances. She coldly said, "My father fights in bloody battles in foreign lands to guard families and defend the country so that the chrysanthemum banquet like today's can be held and students can compete. There was a flash of mockery in her eyes. The win in today's competition does not mean anything. The outstanding people are the ones that have been killed on the battlefield. As for the rules you set, why would I not dare? Everyone blinked out for a moment. Why would I not dare? With your exquisite archery skills, you will naturally be able to shoot the fruits. On contrary, my archery skills are not up to par. If the arrow goes sideways, the person that would fear for their life is you. She smiled lightly, as her voice seemed to be flown from afar but was as loud as thunder to everyone. In this case, sign a life and death agreement. Whether injured or dead, the consequences will be at our peril. Kai Ling, do you dare?